Everyone. We are back with another hot episode. AB, what's going on, brother?
Doing good, great brother. Doing good. How you feeling?
Man, I cannot complain, man. Other than this heat, I'm good.
It's hot down there, huh? You down in Carolina? I'm sure y'all got a little bit more degrees. It just rained here, so we cooled things down a little bit. But it was hot. It was hot in there, but it cooled down a little bit.
Yeah, man.
How your week or your past couple of weeks been?
Man, it's been good, Doc. You know, I can't complain about anything. I was in the hospital for 2 days, the week of Father's Day, but I'm good. I had a kidney stone that was stuck in my kidney's entrance, but I'm good. You know, Superman still kicking.
Oh, glad to hear that. Glad to hear that, bro. I know prayers go to you.
Yeah, man.
All right. So guess want me to kick it off or you kick it off?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna introduce you because you know this is about that literary work that you have written for America. So I want to tell everybody, if you have not had an opportunity to buy my boy's book, you need to do that because we're talking about that today. So I want to introduce my brother. He's going to lead the conversation today, brother AB Bracewell.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, and I feel like I gotta introduce you now, man, just to return the favor. My boy Gregory Devon, Pastor Gregory Devon, man. Always glad to sit down and talk to you and talk with you and talk to the people. But before we even get into the topic of the night or the discussion, we got a topic that's been all over the internet the past couple of days.
Oh yeah.
Every post, every podcast, every discussion, like it's been the hottest topic so far. So I think it wouldn't be right if we don't at least touch on what happened this past week with the young Miss Keke Palmer.
Yeah.
The brother Usher Raymond, and Ursher Raymond, and the boyfriend. I don't even know the boyfriend's name. I saw it, but I kept forgetting it.
I forgot his name too, but you know.
That's the same. I don't know the man's name. But so the situation is what happened, and correct me if I leave anything out. So the Miss Keke Palmer put on a certain outfit, went to the Vegas show, you know, Usher doing his residency over there in Vegas. He's sitting front and center, front row. And he does what he usually seemed to do. When there's a star, a celebrity sitting in the front row, he comes down and serenades the young lady. You know, sing whatever song he wants to sing to her. This time it was "There Goes My Baby." Maybe he sang "You Got It Bad," or I don't, you know, other times he might have sang "You Remind Me of a Girl." Who knows? Any one of his hits. But this time he sang "There Goes My Baby" to the young lady, Keke Palmer. I don't know why I keep calling her Keke Shepherd for some reason. I keep thinking about the Apollo, but Keke Palmer. So he sang the song to her. She sang back. They were close in proximity, hugged up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she even sang a couple of notes with him.
Yeah,
He took a step back, and she turned around, had a pretty revealing dress on, outfit,
absolutely.
kind of risque.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that seemed to be kind of, I guess, I don't want to say to use the word normal, but I don't think that caused too much ruckus
Right.
until the boyfriend, the father of her child, of her
Mm-hmm.
son. I think they have a boy together. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Girl,
Yeah.
the father of the son, decided to go on Twitter and he tweeted something. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I may not be quoting it directly, but it says something like that outfit, you're a mom,
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Commenting on her outfit and the fact that she's a mom.
Yeah.
Of course, the internet got at
Right.
because the Twitter, Black Twitter loves Keke Palmer. Uh,
Right.
I'm just finding this out. I didn't know. I'm not a big follower of Keke Palmer. You know, I
Yeah.
love the B movie she was in when she was little. What was that last movie she came out with? It was all right.
Oh yeah. The Thriller.
With the spaceship and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I went to see it. It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but hey, Twitter got at him. They let him have it. They let him have it because he was shaming or coming at their girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decided to double down on his comment,
Mm-hmm.
stating how he has morals.
Mm-hmm.
You're a representation of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my family, such and such and such. And he doubled down on his comment.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the internet blew up. And days following, they still are having conversations about this.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on this whole thing, brother?
Well, my thoughts are Kiki did not become a headline until his tweet. So I think that his major mistake was making that matter that he had with his woman a public matter. Like, you just don't do that. If you got a disagreement or I don't like something that you're doing or wearing, I need to come to you. And my thing with him was, when she left the house, did you say anything? Even if you didn't see her, I'm sure she has FaceTimed you before getting to the arena for the concert. Or let's say none of that took place. Still, you wait until she gets home to address that face to face for a number of reasons. The obvious is that you don't want to make a public matter, a private matter public. But then number two, you got to realize, what do women go through after they have a baby? 4 months ago, she had this child and she has snapped back looking wonderful right now. Women go through a host of emotions about their body, coming off of having a baby. And here you go. You have essentially shamed her and you have equated her to just being a mother and not being also a woman. So now you're saying that just because she's a mother, she cannot do certain things. Now, I will say this. Would I want my woman wearing that? Absolutely not. However, the way you go about attacking that and handling that makes the difference. What you should have done, again, was wait till she got home and said something to her, but in a respectful manner. But realize what she may be going through in her brain these past 4 months, trying to get her body back to a place where she thinks that she's beautiful. Because now what you've done is you've been insensitive to what she might be going through as a woman. You don't know why she wore that. Like, maybe she's feeling less about herself and wants to feel sexy, wants to be called sexy. Now, I'm not saying you should go about it that way, but what I am saying is that as the man in her life, you cannot jump now and say, I'm a man of morals and take the moral high ground when you put a baby in her, but no ring on her finger. So you cannot have it both ways and claim the moral high ground now. And you have made no plans to marry this woman, so that we know. So what is your moral position really? I think that you're clout chasing because you are using a situation to pump your name based upon something that you thought folk would get behind you on, because she was dressed what some would call inappropriate. The other side of that also is that, okay, she was wearing what she was wearing. You addressed it. Now, again, let's take his moral conversation, right? Just the other month, he posted a picture on his Instagram of her twerking in front of him in a tight bodysuit. And his words were, "Look what our son did for my baby." And the camera is right on her butt, right? What was your moral position then? So it is not that you don't want everyone looking at her body. You are insecure as a man now because everybody wants her and everybody is commenting on how she looks now. Because when you put her out there, it was no problem. But now that she's at a concert and someone gets a picture and she's on the internet, it's a problem all of a sudden. So that's the issue that I had with him, was how he handled it. And then you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. You make some great points there. You make some great points. I'm gonna say this.
Mhm.
I just looked up the brother's name. His name is Darius Jackson,
Mhm.
I believe. Darius Jackson.
Mhm.
So just like how I said they got at him when he made that post.
Yeah.
So I was seeing this conversation going on. I wasn't saying nothing. I didn't know much about it. And after I saw the videos, I said, hey, let me jump in the conversation. Let me make a little post. And I guess just like Darius, I felt a little bit of the wrath of the internet. Not that I came at Keke Palmer. I didn't come at Keke Palmer. To tell you the truth, other than the outfit that she had on, which was provocative, very revealing.
Very.
I didn't have a problem with how she handled herself with Usher. She's an actress.
Right.
She's an actress. He's a performer. Y'all in entertainment. That's what y'all do.
Right.
But what I did do, I looked at it from a different angle. And I posted this, and it said this. I agree that he should not be on a public platform. I agree to that. The way he addressed it was totally wrong. It's definitely a private matter that you shouldn't go on a public platform to call out your lady, your baby mom, whoever she is. So I agreed to that. But I also said, if your man allows another man to grind on you, to gawk at you, and he says absolutely nothing when you turn around and give another man a full view of your booty, then that man doesn't care about you. That man will not protect you. That man doesn't respect you, and he probably doesn't claim you as his man, or claim himself as your man, I should say. Like I said, I felt the wrath of the internet with that comment as well, because for some reason, since it wasn't, I guess, shining a light on Keke Palmer and actually putting down the boyfriend, the internet didn't like that either. So what are your thoughts on that when it comes to the whole situation? If you're in a relationship, if you have a girlfriend, should have, and you mentioned it as well, as far as being married or putting a ring on it, and that was something I heard a lot of people say.
Yeah.
Should a person or should a man have the right to have some level of requirements or expectations for the woman that he's in a relationship with, even if he has not put a ring on it? Can he have an opinion on her behavior, her outfits, her attire, on anything? Or because that man has not married you or proposed to you, he cannot say anything, can't have any opposition, can't say a word or nothing. In my opinion, I feel, hey, even with relationships, even if it hadn't reached the level of engagement or marriage, there's still some expectations in our relationship if we're exclusive and committed to each other.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, that whatever those expectations and requirements are, that should be handled between the two people. But the way I keep hearing it is that since this man has not put a ring on it, he can't say a word.
Mm-hmm.
What you think about that? Now they came at me for that, but
yeah, I think some of that was probably due to residuals of what he had already said, right? So if anyone, you, myself, or anybody says something like what you just said, I don't think the attack is so much on what you're saying. It is on the fact that you're saying anything that is not necessarily in support of her, right? Because I have to agree with you that we both should have some say. And honey, I'm not really fitting that outfit, right? And if it's for a reason like it's kind of inappropriate, then if we're in a serious relationship, yes, it should be taken serious. And there's probably a reason that one is saying this. The context matters, right? We cannot compare the average relationship to this one, only because they are celebrities. Now, we can say all day long, well, they're people too. Yeah, but the rules of engagement change. Only because nobody's giving Gregory Devon $50,000 for wearing a certain outfit, right? And saying who the designer is, right? And it's a trend this
Nobody's
year.
gonna pay you for that shirt you got on, man. You wearing that shirt, brother.
Come on now.
You need to get paid for it.
But then it's like, too, okay, now Kiki was dressed how she was dressed. That's a trend now. If you notice, she's done it. Beyonce has done it. Ciara has done it. And a whole slew. And there have been some of our European sisters who've done it also.
Yeah, Gabriel Union the other day had it.
Yeah. So society and the internet, well, I'm saying the internet, INNA, the internet, picks and chooses who is the scapegoat this week. And some people are easy target, right? Ciara was an easy target because she's married to Russell Wilson. So the attack wasn't so much with her, it was her husband. She was the scapegoat. It was another way to get at him, right? In Kiki's situation, again, she didn't make headlines herself. That boy made her a headline. So it's like, again, she was a scapegoat for her man, right? And it's like, we allow this stuff to happen and don't realize the rules are different in their world because they're doing this for a trend. There's probably some money involved, it's a business move. That's what makes it different than the average everyday relationship. Now, people can debate that, but it's the truth. It's true even when men do it. Look at some of the things that men wear. They wouldn't wear that themselves. Look at some of the things that Cam Newton wears. That's not you. Somebody's paying you to wear that. And I ain't mad at you. Because they're finna give me, 50 grand. I might wear something that I wouldn't only wear too, put on what it is. But I think we have to realize that when we're looking at things like this, at the end of the day, yeah, what she was wearing, it definitely was not becoming of a lady. It wasn't. However, I would not, as her man, come down on her. We're going to have a conversation about your outfit, about why you thought that I would not have an issue with that, or why did you wear it? Are you looking for something? Are you not feeling sexy? Am I not making you feel beautiful as your man? Right? Do you not feel that I desire you? Is the attention from me not enough? I'm going to consider all of those things before we even have a conversation, because I want to make sure that the end result is you and I being on the same page. This dude never considered you could have hurt her career, and you never thought about that. You just made a move, boom, did what you did, made her a headline in a negative way, so you thought, and never gave any thought to the fact I might be damaging her career. I'm putting something out there that if I don't say anything, really won't be a headline. But you made it a headline. And you tried to promote yourself because you became the victim in your head. as if she was doing something to you personally, and you insulted her motherhood as a mom. You're a mom now. You shouldn't do that, as if to say that she's a bad mother. At the end of the day, when somebody is in their 20s, I give them passes on certain things 1 or 2 times because you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
And there's a level of naivete in certain things. Now, again, we could debate that. That's arguable. I get it. But it's the truth. I did some things in my 20s I just wouldn't do now.
Oh yeah.
But again, I was 20 something.
Yeah, we all did. Now,
Yeah.
I don't want to beat this topic into the ground, but I had one more question. Then we're going to get into conversation. Because you brought up Russell Wilson, and that made me think of something. And since we are on the Godly View network, it made me think of a scripture.
Come on,
the scripture was, "Where art thou, Adam?" If I know now, I know a lot of people are going to say that they're not married, so you can't really say that, blah 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 blah. But in a situation where you feel that your lady is going down the wrong route, and she's making a wrong decision, if she's doing something that might put herself in danger or might shine a negative light on her, and we always say, "Hey, nothing happened when Eve ate the fruit. Is when Adam ate the fruit, and God went searching for him. Where are you?" He didn't play his role. Right. He wasn't in his position where he can correct or stop Eve at the time. It seemed like this brother tried to do that. Now, granted, he did it in the wrong way. You don't do it on Twitter. You did it in the wrong way. But it's I'm playing devil's advocate. It seems like this brother tried to do that. He seen something that probably would have shined a not so complimentary light on his lady and the mother of his child. And he didn't want to be asked, "Where art thou, Adam?" Like some of these brothers, like we talking about Russell Wilson's wife, you really don't hear much from him when all this criticism is coming. Was this brother wrong for saying something? Or was it just the fact that he said it on a public platform?
There you go. He was wrong for how he said something, right? And again, I got to go back and say, you cannot be okay when you're holding the camera and she's twerking and you making comments and posting that, but then be mad when somebody else is holding the camera. You can't have it both ways. You cannot. That's why I say this brother was clout chasing or you got insecure because of the attention that she is getting now as a result of her snapback body. In Jesus' name, she do look good, but it's like this brother. I get your point, I do, and there was nothing wrong with him having a problem with it.
I'm not making a point. I'm making a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't want the internet to come at me. I don't want the internet to come at me. I'm asking the question.
Well, I think your question is beautiful, wonderful, because he had a right to say something, but you do that behind closed doors because you praise in public and you correct in private. And that's what he did not do. And my thing is, this could have been the perfect opportunity to show this woman how you lead. You just showed the world that you are a horrible leader. Because again, you never took into consideration 4 months ago, this woman is on the table having a baby. What has she gone through in these 4 months? Hormonal changes, body changes, trying to get her body back right. Now you're shaming her. You gave no thought. Is she going through postpartum depression? Is she going through some mental health challenges right now? Is she looking for attention the wrong way? Because if that is the case, not saying it is, but it might be, let's talk about it. And let's see why you wore that outfit to the concert and then gave everyone a full view of your derriere. It wasn't just when you turned around, because when you walking, we could see it. So it's like, what's really going on here? He gave no thought to nothing. He thought to just criticize, boom, boom, boom. It's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
You can't act off emotion. It gets you in all types of trouble. And that's what happened with the brother. And I totally agree with everything that you're saying, Greg. I totally agree with everything that you're saying.
You did not protect your woman, brother. You didn't. You scrutinized her in front of the world, and you treated her like a child. And I guarantee you, you just lost your woman.
Yeah. That should be a lesson. Like, everything does not have to be online. Yeah. Everything does not have to be for the public consumption. Some things are private. And that's a situation there where, like you said, that is a private conversation. You wait till she gets home, you give her a phone call, and you communicate with your mate.
Communicate.
You know, you don't accuse her, don't shame her, don't blame her. Communicate. You can in person or on the phone. You can tell her as mad as you were about what happened. Once you use those Twitter fingers, you see what happens. Now, great hot topic. We could probably talk about that the whole time, but we're not. We're here. Tonight's topic is the sexual miseducation of Black men in America. And this, it kind of ties in. Because a lot of what was going on, I'm sure a lot of the emotions that came up in this brother had to do with the way he viewed his woman, the way he viewed sex, the way he viewed other men, the things that he was taught about sex, and what made him react in that manner. So, as you said in the beginning, I came out with a book just this year. It's entitled The Sexual Miseducation of Black Men in America. And the purpose of that book is to explore the emotional, the psychological, the behavioral, the relational impact that our sexual education, or I should say miseducation, has had on us as Black men, and how it impacts our relationships, how it impacts our entire community, how it impacts the way we look at women, how do we look at love and intimacy and all the good things. I often say that we have been taught as young men to measure our manhood by the amount of women that we sleep with and how well we perform in the bed. Right. That's one of the biggest things that we've been taught to measure our manhood with. So I've done by now over 100 interviews with other Black men on this topic. And the question I asked them is the question I want to ask you. What and how do you think most Black men learned about sex growing up? What and how did we learn? Where did we learn it from? What did we learn? Who taught it to us? What was some of the impact of the lessons that we learned? What would be your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of these lessons, man, were learned through sneaking to learn. You sneak to watch certain things on television as a little boy. You sneak to listen to certain things on the radio. You sneak in the room. Maybe you got some older uncles and they watching, hearing something, and you sneak in there with them. And they say, come on, man. Come on, little man. And let you watch certain things, not realizing the impact that could have on the psyche of a 5-year-old. We don't sometimes think that a child that young is going to be impacted, but yeah, it is, to the point that now once you get a taste of the forbidden fruit, so to speak, now you get another taste. So you find another route, another means to fulfill that desire. And although you have not had sex yet, a little child, in a nutshell, kind of has an idea of, oh, that's something that's sexual. He or she has heard the word sex before. Even before they hear the word, when they see it, they know that I have that on my body, or seeing that makes me feel something in a certain area sometime, or seeing that in my brain makes me feel a certain way, makes me curious. That's where it starts for a lot of people. So curiosity kills the cat. You become curious about what you've seen or heard, then you go and do something or try something. Just like it's common practice for little children to do things to each other that they have seen on television. Now, they have no rational, real concept of right and wrong just yet in every area. So what they're doing, once they're caught, they kind of had an idea that I ain't supposed to be doing this because you snuck and did it, but you kind of don't know what this is. So you are really exploring your body and you're trying to learn, right?
Yeah.
And then once you get caught and realize, oh, this is wrong, now you get older, and now your intelligence, your intellect begins to catch up with your experience. And now you begin to try other things because now you are kind of becoming educated now on, okay, boys like girls, girls like boys. Oh, this is what sex is. Now, you have a very limited understanding, yeah, but now you begin to do things that you really have seen. That's why you can have children with their clothes on, dry hunching. They saw it on TV. Now they're doing it. They say, "Oh, we playing mama and daddy." Mm-hmm. That's what they saw. That's what they have heard. So I think that is where a lot of this stuff starts, is with curiosity.
Yeah. And I want to touch on a few points that you made, because you talked about the concept of knowing right from wrong when you're a young child, and that's very true. Because I've studied, in my field, that when children are little, that 1, 2, 3, maybe up to like 10, their concept of what's right and wrong, was good and bad, is based on punishment. Whether I, if I get punished for this or not, like their actual moral compass has not been developed yet. Right. So that's how I know something's good or bad. If I get yelled at, or if I don't get yelled at. So if you're doing things and you're not getting yelled at by your parents or your guardian, you may not know that this is bad. I'm just exploring, right. and you haven't developed that. As you get older, like in your adolescent years, like the concept of good and bad does develop, and right. It's based more on reward or acceptance. Right. So if I'm accepted by maybe society or my friends or family, okay, then what I'm doing is good. If I'm rejected for it, then it's wrong. It's not until you get into your older, not even older adult, 20s and up, where you start to develop that moral concept where I'm doing things just because this is good to do, right. or I'm doing this because it's bad. Where you develop the idea of, okay, I'm as a person, this is not right. It has nothing to do with me getting punished or me getting accepted. I've developed a conscience now. So right. that's very, very true with what you're saying. And another thing that you said that I wanted to comment on, you said the age of 5. And some people might be listening to you and thinking, oh, 5, that's young.
Right.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. And I'll tell you how it's not. I'll tell you a story that my mother once told me years ago. My mother was a Head Start teacher. Kids in Head Start they're around 4.
Right.
5. And every time I think of this story, it makes me emotional because it was just so hard to hear. And my mom was telling me how emotionally distraught she was when she saw this happening. But she was taking kids to the bathroom. They line up and go to the bathroom. And then she checked the line and was like, hey, where's such and such? 2 boys. We'll just say Bill and Sam. Where's Bill and Sam? No one knew where they were. So she went back to the room to see if they were still in the room and why they didn't come line up and go to the bathroom. And when she got to the room and checked behind the little cubbies, the little cabinets, she saw one little boy giving oral sex to another little boy.
Oh wow. Wow.
4 or 5 years old in Head Start.
Wow.
She didn't know
Wow.
what to do. She just left the
Right.
room, stopped and started crying.
Right.
So I say that story to say that you're not
Wow.
5 is not too young.
No, it's not.
And someone had to be modeling that
Right.
behavior for them to imitate it, for them
Right.
to copycat it. And someone was not correcting them or correcting whoever, I don't know, whoever was the aggressor, I don't know. Someone
Yeah.
was not correcting them. But I say that to say a lot of the behaviors, a lot of our sexual habits, a lot of the things that we've learned as men and as boys growing up were behaviors that we observed and that we copycat. There were things that, like you said, that we watched on pornographic movies.
Right.
The music that we listened to, our peers,
Right.
older boys in the neighborhood that we watch or that they pushed us or pressured us to do, to act out sexually way before we was ready, way before our time. And most of the time, the things that they pushed on us was unhealthy, it was toxic, it was disrespectful, and it objectified young girls. It objectified women.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about that, and let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because in the book, I mentioned a little bit about how we go down into how we travel into that journey and how we actually develop the mindset where we start to look at women as sexual objects and not a person with a name, a person with a brain, with a personality, with with skills and talents and all those good things. We just start to see them as breasts, a butt, a vagina,
Right.
something that we can get sexual gratification from.
Right.
How would you say that develops in young boys, but don't think it doesn't travel all the way up to manhood? What would be your thoughts on that?
One of the things that you said in your book, I want to say, because you got a chapter about chauvinism, and you talked about the foundations of what we learn about sex being based in pornography, right? I think sometimes because we think that adults are watching pornography only, that we don't realize how many children have seen that, especially today, when, like back in the day, they didn't have what we have now in terms of cell phone at their fingertip, right? So they have access today to a whole slew of things that we didn't have access to. So what we had to sneak and do, they do it in public, and you don't even know it. Got the earbuds in, you don't know what they watching on the cell phone because stuff is free. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we don't realize that in this hypersexualized society today, it is so easy for children that are 4, 5, 6 who have cell phones and can work a cell phone better than you. You don't know. You think they watching Clifford the Big Red Dog? No, they watching something else. You better be over their shoulder.
The dog you thinking about?
Okay, and if you're not over that, that's why when these children are on these phones for 2 and 3 hours, no ma'am, no ham, no mayo. You need to be grabbing that. We ain't doing that. And you best be looking at what they're doing every 30 minutes. Because again, this stuff for a lot of men boils down to control, right? Because we look at ourselves instead of leaders sometimes as dictators, domineering, chauvinistic, misogynistic. I have to assert my authority, right? Now, when you talk about what are we listening to and how the music is so aggressive and how, like, in the 70s, right? They had music about sex, but it was hidden innuendos that a child just really ain't gonna pick on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what that song? Pull up to my bumper, baby, in your long black limousine.
I didn't know.
I thought they were talking about really in the cars.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
I realized, oh, you nasty.
Yeah. Somebody had to tell me.
Right. But now it's like, oh, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? They you know, my neck, my back, lick my crack. They with it now. And I mean, it's like that's so, you know, there's some pros in this house. You know, time to be clean for the godly view. You know, but it's like they calling it out, and it's like women don't help the matter. It ain't just on the men, because while men are being dominating, controlling, trying, even in the bedroom, trying to have their way, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Women have gotten to a point now where you're being so sexy that you don't realize now all they want is sex. See, because that's what you're pushing. That's what you're promoting. Go back to the Keke Palmer situation. How you expect the man not to think about having sex with you when you are showing him your treats and your goodies? How, Sway? How can he not think about doing something sexual to you when he can see your sexual parts, right? And it's not just her. It is even the everyday woman. Going to, I work in corporate America also. Going to some of these office buildings, it's like, whoa. I understand that a pencil skirt is cute, but that pencil skirt might be 2 sizes too small, because I see all your humps and bumps. But even the verbiage now, you're referring to yourself now as things that women 20 years ago would never refer to themselves as. You're calling yourself a pro. You calling yourself a B. You calling yourself, you know, a slut or all this. You're calling yourself this. And then you are wearing the uniform of that they wear. And then you have a problem when a man says something to you out of the way. Let me tell you something. I know a police officer based upon the uniform. I know a fireman based upon the uniform. I know a doctor based upon the white lab coat. If you don't want to be thought of as a 304, turn upside down, then do not wear the uniform of one and expect to be treated like a lady. That does not go together. And I know somebody gonna hear that and have a problem with it. But let's be real. Even the Bible says, avoid the appearance of evil. Don't avoid the appearance of that you don't want to be referred to as, whether you're a man or a woman. Because again, us as Christian singles especially, and the Christian married folk, don't walk around here calling yourself a man of valor or a woman of virtue, and you wearing the uniform of the opposite of that. It don't go together.
Yeah. Hey, like my pastor said all the time, don't get mad to get delivered. So if you said something that offend, it's the truth though. And I also speak
it's tight, but it's right.
Yeah. I speak about that in the book, how the sexual miseducation system doesn't only impact boys and men. Like it has definitely recruited women. What historically the things that they used to be taught, traditionally the things that they used to be taught about their bodies, about sex, about looking at it as something precious, and you have sex with somebody that you think is special, or a husband, those things aren't taught anymore. They're not taught anymore. I go back to a conversation that I did have while I was interviewing for this book, and I thought I was making a confession. I thought I was showing some maturity, some growth, and I said, I was telling the young lady there was a time where I wanted every woman that I met to perform like the women that I watched,
right,
in a porns.
Right.
To my surprise, she gave me some pushback. She said, "Oh, Some of us could be, we could be a porn star, you know. And like I said in the book, I don't think this young lady knew what she was really what she was supporting.
Right.
A man can't look at you as his porn star, then the next day look at you as his queen. It's not going to happen. Our minds don't work like that.
Right.
So
they know.
Yeah. So like you were saying, like it has infected our ladies as well. There's one part that I definitely want to talk about before we run out of time, and I think this is so important for the men to hear. In the book, it tells it's not only for men, it's for women, because women you get to learn and understand your man a lot better, and why he views relationships and sex a certain way. But then there's some parts in the book that's specifically for the brothers.
Right.
And there's a chapter in there called "The Hurt in Us."
Right.
And it speaks about how we often use sex as therapy, how we often use sex as a coping mechanism, how we take our pain, we take our hurt, our depression, our sadness, all the things that we are carrying around emotionally that we haven't been taught how to express verbally or in a healthy way. We have often been taught that the cure for all those things was sexual healing. A lot of men turn to sex to cover up the pain that's inside. A lot of us turn to sex or turn to women to disguise or to hide or to mask what we're really going through mentally and emotionally. And I'm trying to, in the book, I try to encourage brothers on how to seek the proper healing for those type of pains.
Right.
Sexual healing ain't the answer for that.
Right.
What would you say to the brother that is mismanaging his sexuality and seeking women to cover up the pain and the hurt that he's dealing with?
Great question. I first want to say this. Because from the beginning of time, there has always been nurture and healing in the womb of the black woman. That is the place that the black man is trying to honestly get back to, because that has always been a place of intimacy. The problem is that men have been taught that the only avenue to intimacy is sex. So there are often times where it looks like a man only wants sex. He actually really wants intimacy. He does not know another road to get to that. Because if you notice, like, what does a man do after he has released? He lays on that woman and he don't move because he's experiencing intimacy. But nobody ever taught that man that you could have had the same intimate experience by telling her, being vulnerable and saying, I need a hug. I am not okay. Can you just hold me? That is not gay. It is not. That is being a man who is emotionally intelligent, because you understand exactly what your emotions are saying to you right now, and you know a functional way to get that. Now, to your question, when we think about everything that we have had placed inside of us in regard to sex, right? When we think about how over time, as black men especially, we have not been taught about going to therapy, because traditionally in the black household, that's shunned upon. You know, oh, if you go in this house, stay in this house. And that's why the house is broken. So because we have not been traditionally socialized and conditioned to go to therapy, to seek counseling, we don't do it. So now we self-medicate on dopamine and serotonin, because when those levels go up, when you have an orgasm, that is the feeling that you're chasing. You're chasing that feeling again, like a drug addict seeking a drug. And the only way that you know how to feel that way is to have sex. But you're not ever really understanding what it is that you really need, because you're not slowing down and doing some introspection to figure out not just who you are, but what you're going through, how you feel, what have you been through that has put you in a mind frame of this right now. So instead of going to AB for a therapy session, you calling Tanisha because it's midnight and you know she home and the children sleep. You don't know another way. And that's what's wrong with a lot of men. You don't know another way, but then you're not putting yourself in some more seasoned men's presence who can tell you and teach you a thing or two, because you feel like, because I'm 40, 50, I know it all. And I yield the mic.
Yeah. You mentioned something about intimacy, and I actually made a video about this the other day, and I was talking about how men aren't trained to have that intimacy when it comes to relationships and sex. There's something scientific about behind that. There's something scientific behind that bonding and that that connection that we have. That the release of like oxytocin. He was talking about some hormones. There's a hormone in our body called oxytocin that drives our bonding, our intimacy, our closeness. It also drives like caregiving between a mother and a child. That's when a woman has a child, they feel bonded because heavy doses of oxytocin are released. What happens to us as men, as black men, is that we are actually trained to not release that bonding hormone, that love hormone. Things like hugging, like you was talking, that's intimacy. Playing soft music with someone, that's intimacy. Sitting down having a conversation, that's intimacy. Doing kind things for them, complimenting them, giving them those words of affirmation, all of that builds intimacy. The sexual miseducation system teaches us to do the complete opposite from that. If you're watching porn, if you're listening to a lot of hip hop music, if you're listening to the dudes on the block, they're not encouraging you to hug and have conversations and laugh with a young lady, get to know her, give her compliments. Everything in that system is designed to do the exact opposite, which kind of restrains our release of oxytocin. That's what for so many guys that grew up that way can have sex with a woman and feel absolutely no emotional connection, because we've been so trained to do the opposite of what our brain chemistry and our body chemistry actually wants to do. And I was trained in that system as well at one point. I'm an older man now. I'm more mature. I've grown. I've seen the mistakes that I've made. I have a son that's watching me now. Through every step I make. So that has pushed me to change a lot of the things and a lot of views that I used to have. And the whole purpose of me writing this book was to help other brothers change and to also help ladies to get a better understanding of the man that they're with. Before we disconnect, I want you to leave some parting words. If you had 2 minutes to sit down with a young man or even an older man, because some of us older still making the same mistakes. If you had 2 minutes to sit down and give a word of advice on how to better manage your sexuality, how to make better choices, how to be more disciplined with your body, and how to measure your manhood the proper way, what would you tell that young man or older man?
I think that first of all, we have to be honest with where we are in life, young or old. Whatever you struggle with, let's be honest about it and put it on Front Street. And let me, as the man who's speaking to the person, young or old, I would use myself as an example. My thing is, ever since 16, 19, when we got here, like, we were chosen as slaves sometime based upon the size of our genitalia. So naturally, moving forward to now, we've been indoctrinated to put more emphasis on our what we call our manhood that's not really our manhood. So by virtue of us having a misplaced phrase, a word, that's where it all started. Is that your manhood is supposed to be who you are, not what you have. Number one. Then looking at scripturally, I always say that science points to God, right? When you look at the metaphysical science behind sex, but then look at what God says about sex in the proper time and context, they really both make sense. When you think about, okay, the metaphysical science of sex, how we are really combining DNA by continuously having sex, unprotected, especially. Part of me is getting in you, part of you is getting in me. And there's no undoing that. And we wonder sometimes why you can break up with a person and 6, 7 months, a year later, the thought of that person, the sight of that person does something to you because it's scientific and it's spiritual. It's scientific because the parts that you're combining cannot be separated. It's spiritual because a man becomes weaker every time he has sex because he is releasing into this woman and he's becoming weak. Well, this woman is receiving all of this. Now add to the fact you might have more than one person in your life, with all due respect, that you're being intimate with. So now I'm receiving from different men. What have you become? Confused. And this is why a lot of women are so confused about if somebody really loved them, because you having sex with your heart and they're having sex with a body part only. Mm-hmm. But you're coming, and so you're getting further confused because you thought this person loved you, because in your brain, sex equates to love. In their brain, sex equates to a release. So I would tell this man, young or old, you got to be responsible with your body, responsible with your spirit, responsible with your soul. Jesus came to save your soul, not your spirit. It is your soul that is corrupt, right? Your spirit don't sin, your soul does. We got to reintroduce or introduce your spirit to your soul, because your spirit is where God lives. Your soul, your mind, will, and emotions, that's your soul. And it's like your spirit has to come and to save all of that and to cover all of that. And that is what is going on with us as men, not being able to make a rational, smarter decision, because we don't know who's really in control of our soul. Because we got pornography in there, we got music in there, we got the media in there, we got other toxic men in there, and not realizing that you can't even be the leader that you really need to be, because the area in your life that you need to have the most discipline in, your sexuality, is the area that you have the least discipline in. If a man can ever master his sexuality, he can master anything. And that is what every man needs to hear. Now, I could talk forever on this, so I'm just going to end right there.
Man, listen, we could talk forever on this, but we're running out of time. We're not running out of words.
Right.
But, for those that are listening, we touched just on the tip of the iceberg of this book, just the tip. I'm just saying some of the chapters that are in this book. One of the chapters is titled "Intimacy versus Isolation." There's another chapter: "Stop chasing women, start chasing your dreams." That's all the brothers that need to follow their goals and have that discipline that Pastor Greg was just talking about. There's the hurt in us, sex as a coping strategy, the hurt we cause. That chapter is definitely one that you need to listen to, need to read. however you decide to get the book. If you can see at the bottom, you can go to my website, abbracewell.com, and you can purchase the book straight from there. Pastor Gregory,
Yes, sir.
You closed it out on. I don't have to say anything else after what you just said, brother. You know, when I'm writing part 2 of this book, I'm gonna reach out to you. Listen, just the fact that you pointed out, we actually call that our manhood is something that is not this my first time hearing it, but it never came to mind. Like, wow, I'm talking about how to properly measure our manhood. We actually call our genitalia our manhood. So we're starting off wrong right there.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't only not know how to measure our manhood. We don't know what our manhood really is.
Right.
But hopefully for those that are watching, you can go get the book. But don't only get the book. Please follow my brother Gregory Devon. Please tell them where they can follow you, where they can find you, where they can connect with you.
You can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, same name, Gregory Devon. I love the chat. I love to talk with you. If you're ever in North Carolina, in the RDU area, look me up. We can have lunch, break some bread.
Amen. And you can find us, the Soul Brothers. We're missing one of our brothers today, so I'm gonna send love to him. I'm sure he'll be with us next time.
Oh yeah,
Reverend James. But you can find us every second and fourth Saturday of the month, and we might make some special appearances on another Saturday if it's a fifth Saturday. But every fourth and second Saturday of the month, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central Time. The Soul Brothers, the Godly View. We love you. Hope you love us back. Thank you.